Hello everybody and welcome to another Doctor Who review. This time I'm reviewing a First Doctor story. It's The Rescue. As always, I have for the classic series, the television companion. And what does the plot synopsis in this book tell me about The Rescue? Arriving on the planet Dido in the late 25th century, the time travellers come upon a crashed spaceship from Earth. Its two occupants, a paralysed man named Bennett and a young girl, Vicky, are living in fear of a creature called Coquillian, a native whose people have apparently killed the other members of the human expedition. However, the Doctor quickly deduces that Coquillian is in fact Bennett in disguise. It was he who killed the others in order to conceal an earlier murder he had committed on the ship. Confronted by two of the humanoid Dido natives, whom he thought he had completely wiped out, Bennett falls from a high rock ledge to his death. As Vicky's father was amongst the murdered crewmen, and she is now an orphan, the Doctor offers her a place aboard the TARDIS. So what seems to be a trend in the first two seasons of Doctor Who, the third story of the series, is a two-parter. The Edge of Destruction was that story in Season 1, and in Season 2 it is The Rescue, written by David Whittaker. I will go through the characters and also go through some good bits and bad bits of the story itself. We start off, of course, with the Doctor, played by William Hartnell. I like the transition that's happening with Hartnell here. He's gone from being the grumpy old man of An Earthly Child and most of the first season, and is morphing into the hero that we know nowadays. It's quite interesting how the Doctor's excitement for visiting Dido again is very apparent and very exciting, and he now embraces Ian and Barbara as travelling companions and is happy to have them. I think Hartnell does a very good performance here. Very few flubs. In fact, I don't think there is any flubs at all. If there is, they're very slight. And it's nice gamut of emotions and parts of the character we see in this one. We see the man of justice when he confronts Bennett in episode 2. We see his excitement of going through the cave system and his realisation rather quickly about the whole situation with Coquillian, which is interesting in itself. Hartnell puts on a great performance here and actually establishes very much the First Doctor that most people would associate. There's all the and all the laughter and giggling away, but there's a great camaraderie between him and Ian, particularly when they have their adventure trying to get through the caves to another exit, which is really nice. And I quite like the way it's been performed and produced here. And William Hartnell does a very good job of doing the role here, and is definitely the Doctor for me in this one. He has all the traits of later Doctors, and it just shows that he established that. It wasn't other Doctors, he had that already, and this is a good example of that, this story, it really is. We then have Ian, played by William Russell. Ian is as steadfast as always. He's not questioning anymore. He kind of shares the limelight of the action this time with the Doctor, which is quite nice. I love that camaraderie between him and the Doctor in this one. And the relationship between him and Barbara is as strong as ever. And I love the fact that them two are bouncing off each other to try and give their support and sound out what they're going to say and do with the Doctor now that Susan's left the TARDIS. The previous story was Dalek Invasion of Earth, and it is mentioned in the first episode that obviously Susan is missing and the Doctor still thinks about Susan in that respect. It's an interesting dynamic that he has with Jacqueline Hill as Barbara, and it's really why I love the companions of Ian and Barbara. They're really good together, and William Russell certainly is the stronger of the two this time in regards to what he gets to do. He is dragged along a little bit by what the Doctor says and does. I quite like the way William Russell plays Ian here, and it's a nice character overall. Speaking of nice characters, I think Jacqueline Hill has a decent run here as Barbara. She is very much the touchstone for Vicky, is found by Vicky, and it's interesting how Vicky is latching on to Barbara initially, and she does have that kind of strength there when she sees the sand monster and thinks the sand monster is going to attack Vicky, but it isn't attacking, it's effectively Vicky's pet, and that misunderstanding between her and Vicky is quite nicely played, I think. And I think Jacqueline Hill has the better the better lines in this one. I think she's got more to do in that respect, and it's nicely played by Jacqueline Hill. I like the way Barbara is portrayed here, and it's written very well by David Whittaker for her. We then have the new companion, Maureen O'Brien, who plays Vicky. This one kind of gives Vicky a bit of an immaturity of a young girl. There's obviously some initiative there, but the fact that she's friendly with the sand monster and still has childlike tendencies is interesting. It just indicates how young she actually is. But Maureen O'Brien plays it very well. I quite like the way Vicky is played here. You like her straight away, and it's interesting the dynamic she has with the first Doctor when he has a chat with her in the second episode, and that kind of grandfatherly figure to her. It really does work out, and it's really nice to see. And I get the impression that Vicky has got a lot more to her than just a, oh my god, I'm going to scream. And that kind of independent streak of Vicky does come out more in later stories like The Time Meddler, and it's really nice to see, and I quite like the way that Maureen O'Brien plays Vicky here. We then have Bennett, played by Rodney Wilson. Really nice character. I think Coquillian is better played by him than Bennett. Rodney Wilson. I think Rodney Wilson works very well with the character of Coquillian and gives enough scariness to him. It's very interesting the way it's played, and I think Bennett overall is an interesting character, trying to play this kind of injured man. When he's found out later on, I don't quite get the I'm the criminal and I'm trying to escape, and he doesn't quite nail that as much. But when he's playing Coquillian, it is rather nice, and I do like the way that comes across. But he is probably the weakest cast member of this story in regards to that, and it's interesting how that comes across. But then again, when you've only got an ensemble of effectively 5 to play on this story, you need that kind of strength, and I think he maybe is the slight weak link here, because he's not as strong a character as Vicky is or the other 3, and it does bring it down just slightly because of that. He's enough to be the big bad, and as I say, Coquillian is acted brilliantly, but the character Bennett is kind of meh, and I don't know whether that's down to the writing, whether it's down to the acting, but I don't think it nails it the way it should do and needs to for this story. It is only a 2-parter, so it's very short, and it's very much the bottle episode. I think this is very much the let's have as minimal sets as possible and try and have some budget saving for the next story, which is the Romans. And it does come across like that. There are some very nice character moments in here. I've already mentioned about the fact that Doctor missing Susan when he asks Susan to open the door when they land, and that's interesting. I love the dynamic when Barbara and Ian are talking outside the TARDIS and having a chat about how the Doctor feels and how they're going to deal with him, and how they're going to work with him going forward, and how they feel sorry for him, and the Doctor kind of makes a comment saying, I can hear what you're saying, I don't need you to, I'm not deaf. I love that little dynamic between them, but they're very much chummy at this point, and I love the way the dynamic's been written by David Whittaker here between the 3 of them, and Vicky does slip in quite well into the whole story in regards to the dynamic of the team, and I think Verity Lambert was very conscious that she needed a kind of younger female companion in there to get everything together, which was interesting in itself, and I like the way it's been put together. As I say, I think the confrontation that the Doctor has with Bennett in the second episode is actually very strong, and it shows the Doctor has sussed him out, and even though the fight is a little bit clunky that Bennett has with the Doctor, it does show the Doctor at his best with the proudness and the authority that the Doctor has, because the Doctor knows the people of Dido are very kind and gentle and don't want to fight and haven't fought, and that's why they were so easily defeated by Bennett, and that's a nice way it's been put across. Production wise, yes, it's a limited budget. You've got 2-3 sets. You've got the cave set, you've got the great debating hall, which is the final scenes are done in, which is quite a nice little set. You've got the TARDIS, of course, and then you've got the spaceship, which effectively is 2 parts of the set. You've got Bennett's area of the room, you've got the corridor, that's broken corridor bit in between, and the main refectory area. So it's really utilising the sets and very tight in that, and the story works around that. So it's a bit more expansive than Age of Destruction, which is wholly in the TARDIS with a couple of rooms, but this one is a bit more expansive with a couple more locations, but it is still very restrictive within those characterizations. The reason why I like Quillian as a character more is because the way that it shows how evil he is. He's betrayed because he throws Barbara off a ledge rather early after the initial threatening of Ian and Barbara when they arrive outside the cave. The full fact that he creates the landslide that seals up that cave entrance and pushes Barbara off the cliff, but fortunately a branch catches her fall, so she isn't as badly injured as she could have been, is interesting, and I like the brutalness of it. I think it works quite well. I quite like the story overall. I think it's nicely written by David Whittaker, by somebody who understands Doctor Who and understands the nuances of Doctor Who. He is one of the original creative team, and certainly he gets the characters of Ian, Barbara and the Doctor, and has worked in a very good introduction for Vicky, and I really enjoyed the way that it has been put across here. I do like the story as a whole. This music is familiar to me, that's used in here. I think it's used in the Ark. It's also, I believe, used at some points in an earlier story. I can't remember which one it is, but it's used in an earlier story as well. I know the music's used somewhere in the first season. I can't think exactly where, but I recognise the music anyway. And it's interesting having that music concrete coming through as the kind of effects and the sound background ambience. But it very much is based on the performances, and most of them are very well performed. Christopher Barry gets the greatest bits out of them, which is really nice to see. I like the story overall. It's not top tier Doctor Who, it's not 4 TARDISes out of 5, but it definitely is a very strong 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. Okay, let's see how that story stacks up with the rest of the Doctor Who stories I've reviewed so far in the William Hartnell era, and also all the stories I've reviewed for the TV series so far as well. The Rescue sits in with 4 other stories rated 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. They are The Aztecs, The War Machines, The Celestial Toymaker, and The Space Museum. The 2 lowest rated stories so far in the Hartnell era are The Crusade and The Daleks' Master Plan. And the top rated stories so far of the Hartnell era are An Unearthly Child and The Time Meddler, both on 4 TARDISes out of 5. Overall, there are still 2 stories at the bottom, Timelash and Sleep No More, with 2.5 TARDISes out of 5, and at the top are still 7 stories with 4.5 TARDISes out of 5. They are The Hadmis Patrol, Inferno, The Day of the Doctor, The Caves of Androzani, The Tomb of the Cybermen, Dalek, and The End of Time. That's it from me. What did you think of The Rescue? Leave a comment down below. Do you like it? Leave a comment down below. Are you not so keen? Leave a comment down below. If you like this video, please like it, share it with the hashtag teamstructor, and if you like this video as a whole, please hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out. General new video every second Sunday at 4 PM GMT, and that's when I'm next back with you. Another Big Finish Doctor Who review is the next time. But until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching, and you know what? I shall see you later.